They told her she was imagining things. That grief was making her paranoid, that she was just hearing ghosts. But what Elena didn't know was that the ghost she was hearing had left proof. Her mother's voice was never gone. It was buried, waiting for the right moment to rise and speak. Beloved, welcome to Unbroken Courage. I'm Amara, and I'm so glad you're here today. If you're watching right now, drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from. I love knowing where our Unbroken Courage family is joining us from. Today's story is one that will make you think deeply about truth, love, and justice, because sometimes, even after death, truth finds its voice. Elena sat across from me in my office, her hands folded tightly in her lap. She spoke calmly, but there was something in her eyes, that faint shimmer of pain mixed with strength. "Amara," she said, "I thought I was losing my mind. My own brothers made me question my memories." After their mother's death, Elena's two brothers, Daniel and Martin, handled everything about the estate. They were the responsible ones, the businessmen, the ones everyone trusted. Elena was the youngest, gentle, soft-spoken, the artist of the family. The first sign of trouble came 2 weeks after the funeral, when the lawyer called to say the will had been read privately. Daniel told her not to worry. "Mom divided things fairly," he said. "You got some jewelry and a small savings account. That's what she wanted." At first, Elena accepted it. She never cared about money, only family. But when she went back to their mother's house to pack up her things, she found something strange. A note, written in her mother's careful handwriting, tucked inside a Bible. It said, "If they try to silence you, look for my voice in what they cannot erase." She didn't understand it then, but that sentence burned in her mind for days. She even dreamed about it. Her mother standing in the garden saying, "Listen to what they buried." When Elena brought it up to her brothers, they laughed. "Mom was old, Lena," Daniel said. "She wrote strange things before she died. Don't start overthinking." Martin added, "You always had a wild imagination. That's why you can't handle real life." Their tones stung more than the words. It wasn't just dismissal, it was gaslighting. And soon their words started to make her doubt herself. Was she imagining things? Was her grief twisting her memory? But deep inside, she knew something wasn't right. The turning point came when she visited her mother's lawyer, Mr. Carver, to deliver a few personal documents. She casually mentioned the strange note, half expecting him to dismiss her too. Instead, he went silent. His eyes flickered. Then he said quietly, "Elena, there's something you should know. Your mother left instructions, very specific ones, but your brothers insisted we delay them until the estate meeting." Her heart skipped. "Instructions?" He nodded. "And a recording." Elena froze. "A recording?" "Yes," he said, lowering his voice. "Your mother recorded a message. She wanted it played only when all her children were present, and only after the final will was presented." That was when everything changed. When she told her brothers about it, they panicked. Martin said, "What recording? You're making that up." Daniel snapped, "Mom didn't leave anything like that. Don't you dare embarrass the family." But Elena noticed something. The flicker of fear in Daniel's eyes. It was quick, but it was there, and for the first time she realized she wasn't crazy. That night, she sat on her mother's old bed, staring at the Bible again. The verse her mother underlined before she died came back to her. "There is nothing hidden that will not be revealed." She whispered, "All right, Mama, I'll wait for your voice." 2 weeks later, the estate meeting was scheduled. Everyone came dressed in black and pride: Daniel, Martin, their wives, and Elena. The atmosphere was thick. The brothers chatted with the lawyer, pretending control, while Elena sat quietly clutching the same Bible. Mr. Carver began reading the official will. It was clean, legal, and predictable. Equal divisions, generic blessings, nothing unusual. But as he turned the last page, he cleared his throat. "There is one additional item." Daniel's head snapped up. "What item?" Mr. Carver continued calmly. "A personal message from your mother. She recorded it the week before she passed. She requested that it be played in this room, with all of you present." Silence. You could hear the clock ticking on the wall. Elena's hands trembled slightly, but her heart beat steady. Mr. Carver pressed play on the small recorder. The moment her mother's voice filled the room, time seemed to stop. "My dear children, If you are hearing this, then I am gone. But before you fight over what I've left behind, I want you to hear what you left behind in me." Daniel shifted uncomfortably. Martin looked down. "Daniel?" The voice continued, calm but heavy. "You were always clever, but you used your cleverness to hide greed. And Martin, you followed instead of standing for truth. I saw what you both did after my last hospital visit. Elena tried to tell me you were moving my money without permission. You called her delusional, but she was right." Elena gasped quietly. The brothers turned pale. The recording went on. "That's why I asked Mr. Carver to prepare a separate will. One you did not see. The jewelry and account Elena received were not all she was meant to have. I left the deed to the house in her name. The documents are sealed with this message." The room erupted. Daniel shouted, "This is fake. It's manipulation." Martin snapped, "Turn it off." But the lawyer only folded his hands and said calmly, "Your mother signed this herself, and there's more." He pulled a sealed envelope from his briefcase, the matching deed and signature. Elena said she couldn't even speak. She just sat there, staring as the truth unfolded, one buried voice at a time. When her mother's message ended, the last words played softly through the speakers. "Elena, don't let them bury your light the way they tried to bury my voice. Truth always breathes again." That was the day everything changed. I'll stop here for now, beloved, because what happened after that meeting will surprise you even more. In the next part of Buried Voices, you'll hear how Elena's brothers tried one last time to twist the story, and how the same truth they tried to bury exposed them before the entire town. So stay with me. And if you're watching right now, drop a comment and tell me where you're joining from. Truth may sleep for a while, but it never dies. For weeks after the meeting, the Hale family name was all over town. People whispered in cafes, church pews, and grocery stores. Not about money, but about betrayal. Elena told me she couldn't go anywhere without hearing her brothers' names in hushed tones, but she stayed silent, calm, because silence this time was not weakness. It was power. Her brothers, on the other hand, were furious. Daniel and Martin both tried to challenge the letter legally, but it backfired. Their mother's lawyer had kept not one, but two sealed recordings, one stored in his private vault and another delivered directly to the local court clerk. So when they claimed the first one was tampered with, the second was played, word for word, identical. The truth was undeniable. Their arrogance had turned into public shame. Their own wives stopped defending them. Even Margaret, the family matriarch, went quiet. The same woman who once praised Daniel as the golden son now refused to look anyone in the eye. Elena told me, "Amara, I should have been happy, but I wasn't. I cried every night. I kept hearing Mom's voice in that recording, reminding me that love and greed can't live in the same house." I asked her, "What hurt you the most?" She took a deep breath and said, "It wasn't losing money. It was realizing how far my brothers had gone to bury me emotionally." Because before their mother's death, they'd made her feel small. They mocked her career, dismissed her opinions, and even ridiculed her compassion. When she mentioned wanting to care for their aging mother, they told her, "You're too emotional to handle responsibility." And yet, in the end, she was the only one who truly listened to their mother, even after she was gone. The truth shook the family to its core. But it wasn't over yet. A few days after the legal ruling, Daniel showed up at Elena's doorstep. He looked thinner, exhausted, broken. He stood there in silence for a moment before saying, "You ruined me." She looked at him steadily. "No, Daniel," she said. "You did that to yourself. You buried the truth and it dug its way back to the surface." He clenched his fists. "You think this makes you better?" She shook her head. "No, but it makes me free." Then she gently closed the door. A month later, something unexpected happened. Elena received a letter, not from her brothers, but from their mother's lawyer again. Inside was a copy of her mother's handwritten note, the same one she had once found in the Bible, and a check written out in her mother's name, dated a week before she passed. On it were the words, "For the daughter who kept faith." Elena said she broke down in tears. "Amara, that was the first time I felt peace, not because I got money, but because I finally knew she saw me. She knew I was telling the truth all along." After the storm settled, Elena did something remarkable. She used part of the inheritance to start a small community center for women who had been emotionally abused or manipulated by their families. She called it the Voice Within. Every wall of that place carried stories of forgiveness, of truth, of buried pain finally finding air. And above the door, she framed a simple quote from her mother's note. "There is nothing hidden that will not be revealed." She told me, "Amara, my mother's voice saved me, but it also taught me to use my own." Beloved, this story, Buried Voices, is about more than inheritance or deceit. It's about how silence, when guided by truth, becomes strength. How gaslighting loses its power when you stop doubting what you know is right. Sometimes the world will call you crazy for hearing what they can't hear. But truth doesn't need their approval. It just needs time. If you've ever been made to feel small for speaking up, if you've ever been told your pain isn't real, remember Elena's story. Even when everyone around her called her delusional, her mother's voice, her buried voice, rose and set her free. Thank you for watching Unbroken Courage. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs strength today. And before you go, drop a comment below and tell me where you're watching from. I love hearing from our global family. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful true stories that inspire courage, healing, and truth. And always remember, truth may be buried for a while, but it never dies.